Welcome to the Toyota Lounge. We've got an awesome show for you today. We're going through the biggest storylines of training camp. We are going to talk about some of our bets from our friends over at Circa. We're going to close things out by talking about the roster bubble because I've kind of decided who I've got in, who I've got out as we get into training camp, which starts this week. Should be a really fun show, and we'll start in about 30 seconds. Welcome into the Toyota Lounge for the DNVR Broncos Podcast. I am Henry Chisholm, and we've got Super Bowl 50 champion and future Broncos coach, Todd Davis.
Oh, thank you, man.
How's it going?
That. Good.
Yeah. Today's your last day.
Yeah, it's my last day for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
Got to head out and do a couple of housekeeping things.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'll be back.
Yeah, just some housekeeping things.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, Todd's going to be coaching the Broncos here for the next month. He's going to come back, and it's going to be weird when you come back. It's also weird hearing my voice downstairs. Wasn't prepared for that.
Uh-huh.
We haven't talked much about your plan for coaching, though. What are you most excited about?
I'm just excited about getting in there with the guys and kind of learning them as players and then seeing where I can help, them be their best. I think it's a good group of linebackers, some young guys that haven't played a lot, some old guys that have played a lot. And I think just the mix of that room is going to be fun to work with. And hopefully I can, add something to it.
Yeah. It is a really interesting group. You got Alex Singleton, who he's established. He's a starter in the NFL. He's going to be in the middle of the Broncos defense. But then there's just a bunch of those other guys who are in there, whether it's Cody Barton, Justin Strnad, Jonas Griffith, Lavelle Bailey, the rookie out of Fresno State. It's a whole bunch of guys who know a lot about football, have played some football, but are just kind of waiting to take that next step. And you're obviously somebody who's played a lot in the NFL. And hopefully you have some tips for him.
Yeah, when you talk about those kind of three guys that have the opportunity to play opposite of Alex Singleton, their journey is very similar to mine. Start on special teams, prove that you're worthy to be on the squad, make the 53, and then somewhere along your journey, you get this opportunity to start, and it's like, okay, now can you make the most of it? Can you transition from a special teams guy into a first, second, and third down linebacker? So this is really an important year for all of those guys. So I'm happy to be there and happy to, lend a helping hand.
All right. We've got Ivan in the chat wondering why we're doing a Sunday show. Here's what's going on. We've been promoting this for a few weeks now, but we've got our friends from Circa Sports here, and they're doing a giveaway. They're giving away 3 trips to Vegas late November. They're all 3 nights. They include flights from Denver to Vegas and back, of course. And those are just going to be raffled off to people who are in the bar. We also have a college football video game tournament. The winner of that is also going to get that free trip to Vegas. This is all happening the weekend the Broncos are in town, which is going to be awesome. So we moved our Friday show to Sunday so that we could be here with everybody for the whole party. And it seems like it's pretty legit down there. I'm excited when this is done to go see what's up.
Yeah, it should be fun. A lot of people are here. There's a lot of people that I think everybody claims they're good at video games.
Yeah.
So I love when people get to come together and you can actually see who's nice and who's not.
I know. It feels pretty good. We did the Madden tournament a couple weeks ago, and I made the championship. And I didn't play prevent at the end of the first half. It was 3 seconds on the clock, gave up a touchdown, wound up losing because I couldn't score at the goal line at the end of the game. So that killed me. But today could be a little bit different, and it's going to be a lot of fun because of this new game. Everybody's fired up. I've got my Hawaii Rainbow Warriors figured out. I think last time we talked, I was really struggling in year 2. Year 3, figured it out. Made it to the Mountain West Championship game. Lost, unfortunately. Year 4, 4-0 start. We're cruising now.
Feeling good now.
Yeah. What's that?
It's funny because, you're like, yeah, I didn't play prevent, and then we lost the game, and that's just between you and you. But can you imagine it's the same exact thing for a coach in the NFL who decided to do that, take that same risk, and now you have millions of people wondering why didn't you play prevent? Why didn't you? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
That's amazing.
I was like, I went dime, like it was just cover 2 man. You took the linebackers on the running back, just played them a little bit deep, didn't work out. But the other thing is you have to deal with the the players too.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would have had those 11 guys on the field saying like, what the hell were you calling there?
Yeah.
You put us in a bad spot. But yeah, game has been awesome. I mentioned this before. My girlfriend's been playing a lot. She was actually upset that I brought my Xbox here today. A couple days ago, I woke up from a nap and she was up 53 zip playing as Colorado against Colorado State. She just takes the easy mode and just beats up on whoever she wants. She'll beat up on Georgia, beat up on Nebraska. It's a great game, and it's going to be a really fun afternoon.
That's what I do
for
in
this
Chell.
show, though. What was that?
That's what I do in Chell.
Oh, in Chell.
Yeah,
Nice,
like
nice.
I just play it on easy mode. It's way
Yep.
more fun that way.
Today's show, we're going to start by talking about the biggest storylines of training camp. It's going to be a lot of fun. Obviously, Todd's going to be out there coaching the Broncos training camp. I'm going to be out there with Zach basically 6 days a week. Broncos are practicing.
So I'm not going to see you guys any less.
No, we're actually going to see each other more. We're just going to be separated by like 15 yards. Yeah, so we're going to be out there. So me and Todd, we're going to be breaking down storylines we're paying attention to. With the Circa guys in the house, we're going to be talking about some of our favorite Broncos bets.
Yeah.
That win total, over under 5.5 wins. Really hope it's the over. I don't think I can take the under.
It has to be the over.
It's got to be the over. We're going to wrap things up. We're going to talk about some guys on the roster bubble. I've got a story dropping tonight, thednvr.com. Go be ready for that. My first initial roster projection. We're going to be updating that every week, 2 weeks as we close in on the season. Roster cut down day at the end of August. So that's the plan for today. Might as well jump in at the top. Todd, what is the biggest storyline for the Broncos in training camp?
I mean, everybody wants to know who's going to play quarterback. I think no matter what, that's the biggest storyline of training camp. The most competition at training camp, in my opinion, would be the linebackers or the DBs. Yeah. Like we talked about the linebackers, I think Jonas and Cody are like really fighting for the position, but you can't sleep on Justin Strnad either. He's a vet at this point, played a lot in the NFL, so I think there's a little bit of a three-way, competition there. And then on the outside, there's so many players, guys that have played and not done well, guys that have played and found a little success. There's guys that haven't even played yet. There's a full spectrum of DBs that we have that are all competing, to play on the opposite side of Passer 10. So it's going to be a lot of competition this year.
Yeah, I agree. I think, first of all, biggest storyline's got to be Bo Nix.
Yes.
It's got to be Bo Nix. But I like that you picked out those others because, we talk about receivers and how there's some competition there. There's some competition with the running backs as well. Those guys are all going to rotate in, though.
Yep.
If you're the 5th wide receiver on the team, you're going to play.
Yes.
If you're the 3rd, 4th running back, there's probably going to be a role for you. Maybe not every game, but most games. When it comes to cornerback, whoever's starting across from Pat Surtain is on the field every single play.
For sure.
Same thing with linebacker. Like sometimes you see guys sub in or out on like 3rd downs, like specifically like your 3rd and 15, 3rd and 20. But those unique situations are so rare, and even then, it's typically just a safety that's coming in, especially in a situation like where the Broncos are, where you don't have a bunch of proven linebackers who are fighting for those jobs. It's guys who are kind of trying to get a foothold in a starting lineup in the NFL. I agree. Like that linebacker group to me is going to be a lot of fun to watch, and again, what you have in Alex Singleton.
Yep.
He can do a little bit of everything. He's going to get a bunch of tackles. He's going to provide decent zone coverage for you, but you just hope that you can find somebody else who has some strength, something to build off of. Whether it's Jonas Griffith, who when he's playing downhill, he's a monster. Like that's a big dude. He's strong. He's fast. If he can get into the backfield, all of a sudden that opens things up, and you can start to see how the linebackers could be a strength for you. Cody Barton, good coverage linebacker. If he's able to lock up tight ends, all of a sudden you start to see how those two could kind of pair together and play well. Then Justin Strnad, despite him being on the team the last 4 years, we don't know a lot about him. He's been one of their best special teams players, I think tied with Delarian Turner-Yell last year for the most tackles on special teams of anybody on the team. He's smart. That when he was drafted out of Wake Forest, I think a 7th round pick, it would have been 2020 now. Mm-hmm. He was pretty fluid. He was pretty mobile. But 4 years later, you don't know, has he put on 15 pounds? Has he been asked to take off 15 pounds? Like, you just don't even really know what kind of athlete he is. So he's kind of the X factor in there.
Yeah, for sure. And he had an opportunity to start earlier in his career.
He got
like
a couple snaps, yeah.
But he was a young player. And
Yep.
then he had an injury after that. So really, I feel like this is kind of like a restart for him.
Yep.
As a linebacker. So I'm excited to see these guys, man. It should be a lot of competition, healthy competition. I think it's going to bring the best out of each one of these linebackers, and we'll really be able to see who the best linebacker is. 'Cause I think he'll win the job.
I agree. Real quick, got to give a shout out to our friends at Toyota. We are here in the Toyota Lounge. We were at the Rockies game last night. Toyota's all over the place. We went to a bar afterwards, and one of my friends said that they're actually heading out to, which one is it? I believe it's Mountain States Toyota to buy a new RAV4. Just brought that up out of nowhere. I was like, oh, thank you. I get to say this on the podcast now because we love our front range Toyota dealers. I also said make sure that she tells them that we sent her, so we get a little credit there. But the Toyotas are awesome. They've got a whole bunch of new ones. The Toyota Tundra iForce Max hybrid truck is one of their 16 hybrid vehicles that you can choose from. They've got the SUVs. They've got, I mean, you guys know all the Toyotas, the RAV4, the 4Runner. Great stuff, great businesses. And like I said, we love our front range Toyota stores. And there's a location near you at the Auto Nation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. And it's the official automotive partner of the NFL and the official vehicle of DNVR.
And shout out to BetterHelp. I think mental health is so important. They do a lot in the NFL to help guys with their mental health, whether it's, becoming the starter or losing your starting job, how you handle that, the transition from playing football to not playing football anymore. Mental health is so important, and BetterHelp is definitely here to help. And, even when you know what's important in life, sometimes it's hard to make time for it and hard to commit to getting better in the areas that you need to get better at. So BetterHelp is here to help. Whether or not you've had therapy before, it's something you should try. You should check it out. They're definitely here to help. And you can become your own soulmate, whether you're looking for one or not. You can visit betterhelp.com/DNVR today to get 10% off your first month. That is BetterHelp, HELP.com/DNVR.
All right. I want to dig into this quarterback competition because it seems like it's Bo Nix's job to lose.
Yeah.
I think even if he throws some interceptions in training camp, Jarrett Stidham looks good, it still might be Bo Nix as the starter on day one. Do you agree?
I do. And unless the only way I could say that it's Stidham's job right now, and talking to the guys from Circa helped me realize is that a lot of teams are very vanilla in training camp. They don't want to tip their hand. They don't want to show it. So the only one that's ran what Sean really wants to run is Jarrett Stidham. And I think it would be kind of tough in a lot of ways to really see if Bo Nix is ready. If you are being vanilla for the media, the cameras, and don't want to tip your hand, then Bo Nix won't have run Sean's offense, really until, the start of the season. So that'd be the only caveat I could find to maybe having it be Stidham's job right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Sean wants to build something here, and he wants to build it with Bo Nix, and he doesn't seem like the kind of guy who's just going to wait around till halfway through the season to start building. Yeah. He wants to get going right now, and I'm not sure when he's going to announce that Bo is the starter. It probably depends on Bo. I think he likes the fact that he can put a little bit of pressure on the rookie. So you got to go out there and win this competition first. But I do think that announcement's going to come here pretty quickly, with sometime in the next few weeks at least.
You think so?
I think so.
How long it took for us to, the world knew that Russell Wilson was leaving, and they waited to the last second
that did
to tell
take
us.
Forever.
The world knew that we were getting a quarterback in the first round. And they toyed with that for as long as they could. You know what I'm saying? I feel like, when they have a secret, they like to keep it for as long as they can.
Yep. That could be. I really hope not. I think the other piece of it is, what are you looking for from Bo? Because to me, I want to see him push the ball down the field. During all these spring practices, we've seen him probably 6-7 times now. I liked what I saw. He played well. There's a lot to like, but it did feel like there was a lot of dink and dunk in there. There were no turnovers. I think actually there was one right at the very end, but it wasn't his fault. What I want to see is him hitting Troy Franklin deep, hitting Marvin Mims deep, finding some explosive plays, because especially when you're just in a practice, it's all right to take some risks. See what you can do. See if you can expand the offense. Because I have no doubt that you can get Bo Nix to show up week 1 and find a way to get him 20 for 30 for 215 yards. You can hit the checkdowns, hit the underneath stuff. The question to me is, can you build an offense where he winds up hitting on some deep balls and providing explosive plays? Because it feels like that's kind of what's been lacking. One of the things that's been lacking from the Broncos offense the past few years. So I would just really like to see him open things up, throw the ball deep, and take advantage of the speed that you have with Marvin Mims, the size you have with Courtland Sutton.
Yeah, I definitely agree. That's something we need to see in training camp. For me, I think I would love to see him like stack days and stack good days, one good day after another. And then I really want to see how he handles like the bad days. Because as a quarterback, you're going to have some bad days. Every quarterback has. Now, is he the type of player as a rookie to where he gets down on himself and one bad day turns into 3? Or is it just one blip and he's continued this kind of like steady pace and rise that he's been on? Because I feel like that's the biggest thing for a quarterback. We talked about it on the show a few times, is that your rookie season is kind of tricky. It's like some guys think you should play right away. Some guys think you should wait. But if you do go out there and play right away and you get sacked a lot, then that could mess with your mental and affect your confidence, and now you're not the same. But if you go out there and have success, but then you have this air of confidence and you play better than you would have if you hadn't gone out there. So it's really tricky. But I think for him, the mental side of the game is what I really want to see from Bo Nix, and how consistent he can be and how calm he can be out there.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. Let's see. We got a few minutes left to wrap up. Storylines to watch.
Courtland Sutton.
Courtland Sutton? Okay. Oh, does he show up?
What I'm saying? We haven't even talked about it yet.
That's true.
Like, is he there day one?
Yeah.
Does he hold out for a week? Does he, what do you think is happening with Courtland Sutton?
I think he'll be there. The fact that he was holding out, I mean, I don't know that you could even call it holding out when they're voluntary workouts, but holding out this spring, but then shows up for the mandatory portion, makes me think he's going to show up for the mandatory portion again, especially because the fines are so much bigger. You missed those 3 days of mandatory minicamp a month ago. That costs about the same as missing 1 day now. So are you really going to be sitting out? I don't buy it. But who knows? I mean, we'll find out at the end of this week, early this week, if he's there or not. And there is a chance that he isn't there, which would all of a sudden make training camp a lot more interesting for the Broncos.
Yeah, it would be interesting to say the least, because I feel like he has to be there.
Yeah,
in my opinion. For himself, I think it's always best to get more money when you're in the building.
Yep.
And then also, I think it's best to start building that relationship with Bo Nix now, because I know they didn't really get a chance to really build on it through OTA, just because he held out for a little bit of time. So now I think will be a good time to really establish himself as Bo's favorite target going into the season. And then also for the team, I think as a leader on that offense, I mean, the O-line are always great leaders, but I don't know. I know this sounds crazy, but I don't know how many times we're looking to an O-lineman for guidance.
Okay, but at the same time, you played with Peyton Manning, DeMarcus Ware, Demaryius Thomas.
Yes.
The list kind of goes on and on and on.
Yeah, but
it might be a little bit different now.
We had really solid O-linemen my whole career, most of my career.
Most of your career.
But I don't think we've ever, even in Sac State, even Pop Warner, it was always you got your quarterbacks, you got your running backs, you got your wide receivers. Those are the guys who really spoke up the most. On defense, I think it's a little bit different culture. D-line usually has a little bit more you know what I'm saying? A little more growl to him,
what Derek Wolfe said, he told Philip Rivers he was going to eat his kids or whatever.
He may have, I'm not sure. But I just think, that leadership comes from usually certain positions. Like in my opinion, your Mike linebacker and your quarterback are probably the two most important leaders. And then from there, it expands out. But on the list of leaders, I would probably say O-lineman was kind of down little bit lower.
They kind of do their own thing, it feels like.
They're just unique people. They're great
They really
humans.
are.
You know what
I
I'm
get
saying?
along great with them,
and they're great leaders.
Yeah.
But I just think like for like a group of guys, I think they respond more to like skilled position players, maybe.
Yeah.
Or a quarterback for sure.
I think that's true. I think, you go and talk to Quinn Miners, it's a very different conversation than going and talking to Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah.
Just, I think that's the
Very
easiest way to put it. Like, they're just a little bit different vibes to those groups. But yeah, I think that'll be interesting. I wonder who the leaders are on this offense. Like, you hope it's Bo Nix. You know it's Courtland if he's there.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. It's Bo Nix because he is the quarterback, not because he's a proven leader yet.
Yeah, exactly.
The only proven leader on that offense would be Courtland Sutton at this point.
That really is it.
I mean, Garrett Bowles is a proven leader.
In his own way.
Yes.
Mike McGlinchey has like every leadership trait. He's also, I mean, he was your fourth best lineman last year. So like there's a little bit different vibe there.
Yes.
But a great voice to have for sure.
For sure. But I would say Courtland's the leader on the offense right now, and I would say on the defense it would be Singleton and Sertan. Like those are the two leaders.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to have him in the building. From our interview with him, you saw how much he cared about the team, cared about the organization. Like, you need that voice. You need somebody to stand up and, like, help push us to that next level from where we are right now. So that's what I mean. No disrespect to any O-lineman.
No.
I love my O-lineman.
I said what I said. You didn't say anything.
It's all love.
Yeah. This is a little bit off topic. Who are the captains? Like, the quarterback has to be a captain.
Starting quarterback.
It has to be. So Bo Nix, he has to be a captain.
If he's the starter week one.
Yeah.
He can't be the captain if Stidham is the starter week one.
As a former player, you went through this a little bit with Paxton, who was not the starter. But he would have been the only first-round pick that you played with as a rookie. When somebody comes in and is supposed to take over that job, do you kind of give him that vote and say, like, oh, we need him to be the captain? Like, we're not really going to go anywhere unless things work out with this guy. So I'm going to vote for him, make him a captain. And I guess you guys did vote for captains, right?
Paxton's year, we always did, except for 1 year with Vic Fangio. So I don't remember.
Fangio picked him.
I don't remember what year that happened. When Paxton came in. But for me, I don't think I would just give a rookie quarterback a captain. You know what I'm saying? Even because we want you to be the guy, I think you still got to earn it.
Like, you don't empower him to do it. He has to earn it.
Yeah, in some ways.
Okay.
But if you're a starter, if you start year one, year two for sure.
Okay.
But I just say year one is not a given unless, like, in the Bears situation, they named him the starter, you know what I'm saying, a month ago, like, you know what I'm saying, shortly after they drafted him. So I think in that way, he will become the starter. And I've heard he's already holding, like, throwing camps and, meeting up with the wide receivers. Like, he's already acting as if he's, like, the captain of the team. Yeah. So I don't know if Bo is there yet.
Yeah. That is interesting. Court's going to be a captain on offense.
Sure.
Like, I guess, you wind up with a special teams captain, and then you wind up with, like, either 3 on offense or 3 on defense and 2 on the other. You got to think Courtland's a captain.
Yep.
You think Sertan's a captain.
Yeah.
Singleton seems like he's got to be a captain.
Yep.
Although hasn't been yet. I guess Sertan hasn't been a captain yet either. I don't even know where you go. Like, it's a very deep competition. Like, McGlinchey could be, Bowles could be, Quinn Miners could be.
Bowles has already been, right?
I think he has been.
Yeah, so Bowles will probably be my pick.
Yeah. And then defensively,
Sertan and Singleton.
Yeah.
Just 2. I would do 2
Just
and 2,
2?
and then 2 on special teams.
Okay. Kicker and punter? Or is there, like, a special team? That's the thing, though, is, like, you look at, like, Tremont Smith, he's deserving. He's one of the best special teams players in the NFL. At the same time, he's also, like, their 6th, 7th cornerback and might not even make the team.
Yeah. Well, maybe I think for me, it's like you always got to give it to a kicker or punter. So we'll give it to the kicker.
Okay.
And then Marvin Mims.
Oh.
I mean, best special teams returner in the NFL, Pro Bowl, All-Pro. I mean.
Yeah. He's only 22, though.
Doesn't matter. He earned that.
How old were you at the Super Bowl? Because you were captain, special teams captain.
Yeah.
At the Super Bowl.
Yeah. That was my second year in the league. So 2015. I don't know how old I was. Man, I got to do the math.
32 minus
9. So I had to be like 23.
Yeah. So I guess
maybe 22 at the time because my birthday would have been in May.
Okay.
I would have been 22. Yeah.
Okay, you did it. So why can't Marvin? All right. We're
Yeah,
gonna
I'm a low bar. You know what I'm saying? Why can't I?
no, not a low bar. Not a low bar at all. He did make a Pro Bowl, though. Let's give a shout out to how about the American Raptors, because they've got a fun thing going on tomorrow at Infinity Park down in Glendale. If you haven't seen the movie Barbie, or even if you have and want to see it again, you could head to Infinity Park in Glendale for their movie night Monday. They've got a special showing. Gates open at 6. The movie starts at 7. You bring your own chairs or blankets or coolers with whatever. No grills or glass containers. And if you're not bringing food, you can go to one of their on-site food trucks. They've got a bunch of delicious options. Their movie nights this year are free to attend. So you just show up. Movie starts at 7. Don't miss out. It's fun. It's family friendly. And of course, make sure you're paying attention to the Colorado Raptors, the American Raptors, Colorado's only professional rugby team. You can watch your games on ESPN Plus. We've got them covered with the DNVR Rugby Podcast. But like I said, head out there. Infinity Park's a cool place. You get to go watch a movie for free tomorrow night. Just hang out outside.
That sounds like a plan.
It does.
And you guys should check out our friends over at True Fan Travel. They are your passport to a world of sports. They've already had over 8,000 fans travel to over 145 trips. They do a great job putting together trips and having events for you to go to while you're there. You don't just want to watch the game, you want to live it. They have custom travel packages that include tickets, 4- and 5-star accommodations, unique local experiences. They make it an unforgettable sports getaway, and our unforgettable sports getaway is this year, September 22nd. We're going to Tampa Bay.
Yes, we are.
And you can have tickets to the game. We're going to do a boat cruise, some excursions. It's going to be a great time. You don't want to miss it. And if you want to get your tickets, you can head to truefantravel.com and get your tickets. You know, we're going to have the question and answer with the Broncos alumni, the tailgate party, the boat party, which I already mentioned. You got transportation to the game, tickets to the game. You don't want to miss. You're going to have a great time. Again, it's truefantravel.com/trips to book your spot today.
That's going to be a lot of fun.
A lot of fun.
Wow. Yeah. Actually, real quick before we get into the bets,
that is crazy. I'm hearing myself over the speakers, and it does kind of like make you sound a little crazy.
I know it does. No, the first couple seconds, I felt like I was talking slowly just to make sure it was messing with my head. I'm not used to hearing myself talk, you know. Yeah. Other Broncos storylines, real quick. Do you want to see the offensive line or defensive line? You got to take your coaching hat off. Okay. I know you're gonna be coaching the defense, but just in general, given where the Broncos roster is, do you want to see the offensive line or defensive line win more often during training camp?
Oh, wow. I want to see the defensive line win in practice and the offensive line win when it comes to the games.
Okay.
Because I think if it's the other way around, it usually means you have a trash defensive line. Mm-hmm. But you can have a good offensive line, but the defensive line still get after them. But I don't feel like it can work the other way around.
I think I go the same way. I think that, especially because of the lack of pressure, just penetration in general the Broncos got last year.
Yes.
I would love to see this. I was surprised you didn't say anything. I know you love that word. When you bring in John Franklin Myers, you have all these young edge rushers that you want to see take a step up. I feel like I would love to see them just dominate a couple of practices, because I feel like I trust the offensive line. You know, they still have that question mark at center, and they'll figure that out. But when you look at Garrett Bowles, I know what he is. Ben Powers, I know what he is. Quinn Miners, I know what he is, and if anything, he's going to be better. Mike McGlinchey, kind of in that same boat. So I don't think that I could get that concerned based on the offensive line losing in these practices, but I could get really excited about the defensive line kind of figuring some things out, especially because I think that could be the best part of the Broncos defense this year.
I think they're going to be a great unit. And just going back to some of the training camps in the past, I mean, I think there's been plenty of times where we said, Nick Bonito got the best of Bowles for a couple of days.
There was one practice, they had the Cowboys in town.
Yeah.
And Dak Prescott just got hit over and over and over. I think Nick Bonito ended the day with 3 sacks. And this was his rookie year, so everybody's like, "Oh, Nick Bonito is going to be incredible." And then he barely played. Exactly, it was the best offensive line and all that, and it just didn't matter.
Yeah, and then even for that year for Garrett Bowles, I mean, still performed as a top 10 tackle. In the NFL.
Yep.
So I think you can have a much better O line, even if they're getting beat a little bit, as opposed to having your O line just dog your D line day in and day out.
Yep. Then same question: cornerbacks versus receivers.
Dang, I would like to see our cornerbacks win.
Yeah.
Just because there's a big question mark on the other side of Pat Surtain. We know Pat's going to win. That's not even a question in my mind. But we need that other corner to be solid. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to be a rock star, but you got to be a solid player. And we have to see that in training camp. And you have good competition. Tim Patrick, Courtland Sutton, Marvin Mims, like, you're going to be tested. They're all different body types, all different speed, all different types of route runners, but very, very good athletes. So in order for us to be a well-rounded defense, okay, we beefed up the defensive line. You know, we have the cornerback we need. Do we have another one? I think we have a question mark at linebacker. Who's going to be that guy? Our safeties are playing together for the first time. So I think that corner position, if it's good, can allow us to really like shore up the front seven and the middle of the field so that we can really be solid.
Yep. I feel like we kind of know what the receivers are. Again, like Marvin Mims could break out this year, turn into a 1,000-yard receiver. But you just go top to bottom through that list. The Broncos are going to be fine at receiver. They might not be great. They might not even be like good, but they're going to be fine at least. Like, you've got NFL players there. Cornerback across from Pat Surtain is a little bit of a different story, and that's why just imagining a world where, you know, we go through 20 practices or so, and one day Damari has an interception. The next day it's Levi Wallace. The next day it's Riley Moss, and all these guys are just going back and forth. And you're looking at it as if one of them's about to win the job and not just like, okay, like who's not giving up the big plays, like who's kind of holding their own. It'd be really nice if that turns into a competition where guys are earning it rather than not losing the job.
Yeah, we want to see somebody come out on top in all of these competitions, whether it's quarterback, linebacker, DB. We don't want it just to be kind of like these guys are kind of even, and so we flip the coin. We want somebody to come out and be the true winner so that we know that we have the best 11 anytime we step on the field. So we have to have somebody that can come out and play. So we'll see what happens. Training camp starts Tuesday. Yeah. It's going to be fun, man.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Like I said, we've got our friends from Circa in the house doing this giveaway, raffling off 3 free trips to Vegas for anybody who's here. If you're in the area, maybe you still have a couple minutes to get down here and talk to Lindsay, get signed up, because again, they're free trips. There's no catch, nothing.
Free.
Plus
no
somebody's
small print, you know what I'm saying?
No, exactly. No fine print. I really hope. At least that's what we're saying, at least. I've been told there's no fine print.
There you go.
Since we've got friends from Circa in the house, got to talk about a couple of these bets. I've got 3 questions for you. First of all, the win total set at 5.5. Over under 5.5 wins. How do you feel about the line being right there?
You know, I like being an underdog. I don't mind it. I would say take the over.
Okay.
And 5.5 wins is not a lot for a team to have. It'll be bottom barrel of the NFL if we got 5.5. Yep. And I'm looking for the Broncos to be better as a collective unit than they were last year. I'm not saying they'll have the same amount of wins, but as a collective unit, I look for them to be more cohesive. So I'm going to say go with the over, and I like it at 5.5. That's the easy one to hit the over on. That's what I would take. Yep,
I like it too. The even money is what gets it. It's like minus 120 to take the under. It's even money on the over. That's just too good of a deal. Like you got to put, I think, a couple bucks on it, which I'm going to do this year. I'm not sure.
A couple bucks for Mr. Chisholm.
A couple bucks. Well, last night, a couple bucks. We went to the Rockies game, like I said. I had this bet. It was I need Kyle Freeland to get the first strikeout, which he did, because the other team bats first. He struck out the first batter easy. I needed him to give up less than 6.5 hits. Did that easy. I needed him to register the win, which he did. And I needed him to let's see. I needed him to get at least 6 strikeouts. No, at least 5 strikeouts. It was 5 strikeouts. And it was like $30. Would have paid $500, a little over $500, and he came up 1 strikeout short.
Dang.
Yeah. So I would have had like a really fun night. Would have been throwing money on the Broncos. But yeah, it is what it is. Still had fun. And my theory for those is like whatever you pay for the ticket, That's your betting budget. Feels
Pay
like
for
a
the
good
ticket
rule.
for the game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel like, and typically you take something that's like even money. It's like they win, you pay for your ticket, you know,
Yes.
but stuff like that. We've got the offensive rookie of the year, Bo Nix, 16-1 odds. Is that tempting to you at all?
I think it is tempting for a few reasons. One, Caleb Williams is the heavy favorite, right?
Yeah.
Rightfully so. I think he had a great collegiate career. But I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on him there, and he's in a win-now circumstance.
Yeah.
I feel like he's either going to come out and be on fire, or he's going to come out and be poo-poo cheese.
Yep.
So I think there's no middle ground for him.
Yep.
So Marvin Harrison is probably
Yep.
second,
Ooh.
but he's in a very, very dependent position.
Yep.
I mean, he needs a quarterback that can get him the ball and make him like his favorite target to have a rookie year like Justin Jefferson or Puka Nacua. Like, he wants to have one of those years, but he has to be the quarterback's favorite target to do that. That's a dependent position. Now, Bo Nix, he's in a position where he controls his destiny, and all he has to do is go out there and play accurate football, not take the top off of the defenses, and just play his game. So there's a very realistic circumstance where Bo Nix could be the rookie of the year.
Yep. I think so too. 16-1 is enough for me to take the bet. I think
So that just because of the money, you're
the
taking
money's
it.
if it was even, like, I'm not touching that, because the thing is, I think it's probably going to be a quarterback.
Yeah.
When you have all these quarterbacks in the first round, it seems like quarterback's the safe bet. I think that Drake May probably doesn't start the season.
Yep.
JJ McCarthy probably doesn't start the season, and then Michael Penix Jr. definitely doesn't start the season. So you've got those three guys with Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and Bo Nix. Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels both have much shorter odds, much more likely to win it, according to Circa, and they probably should. But I think that it might not be a three-horse race. Maybe you do throw Marvin Harrison in there. Maybe Rome Odunze does something crazy. Even there, like, he's got competition for touches in that offense, so I'm not really even sure about that. I think it's 16-1 odds. It's worth the flyer, just because I'm confident that he's going to be starting week one. His hat's going to be in the ring, and if, like you said, Caleb Williams, he might just throw a bunch of picks. He might take a bunch of sacks. Jaden Daniels, it's going to be a weird transition to the NFL. It always is for those mobile quarterbacks. It's worked out before, works out often, but I like it 16-1. All right, last one here. They've got props on who will lead the NFL in passing yards, who will lead the NFL in rushing yards, who will lead the NFL in receiving yards. If a Bronco wins one of those, which Bronco is it? These are all very long shots.
Yeah, these are extremely
struggling.
long shots. Maybe it's Javonte. I don't.
That's kind of where I was.
You know, you think
leading.
about rookie quarterback. We're gonna lean on the running game a little bit
Can't
more.
be Bo. It can't be Bo.
Yeah, I probably. You know what I'm saying?
Courtland isn't that
Just
kind of
honestly.
receiver. I almost think like Marvin's more likely than Court, just because like more explosive. Like Court, I just feel like I know too much about who he is, which is a really good receiver, but not somebody who's going to give you 1,600 yards. 16 touchdowns more likely than 1,600 yards, you know?
You never know.
That's why Javonte, like Jaleel almost.
But every time we look at the list of wide receivers that are top 10, you always pair them up to a good quarterback, right?
That's true, yeah.
And that's why you gotta give Courtland Sutton some love, because he was doing this with a carousel of quarterbacks.
That's true.
And so, you know, now if you feel like Bo Nix can give him the ball on time, maybe he's, you know what I'm saying, 1,200 to 1,400 yard receiver. You know, if he's getting the ball more frequently and on time.
Yeah. I'm here for Courtland Sutton love. I just don't bet on the Broncos to do any of those things.
Yeah, those three things, you know what I'm saying? We got some
Yeah.
other good bets in there for you. You know what I'm saying? That one probably not so much.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. Maybe next year. It's been a while since the Broncos been in that conversation. Obviously, Peyton for passing yards is always in there.
Yeah.
Demarius for receiving yards, you could at least like make a case. And then running back wise, on your last 1,000-yard rushers, Phil Lindsay. You probably don't bet on him to lead the NFL though. I don't even know who that would be. CJ Anderson, probably not. Like Terrell
For
Davis,
just
obviously.
rusher?
Like
Just a
Clinton
rusher?
Portis.
Yeah. Yeah,
I don't know. All right. Wrapping things up here. We've got, like I said, a story coming out tonight, thednvr.com. My first 53-man roster prediction for this season for the Broncos. We're going to update it a bit as camp goes along. Guys perform well. Guys don't perform well. And I gave a lot of the ties to the veterans. Kind of leaned on game this weekend. Who do you want out there? I went through and picked out the last 3 guys I have making the roster. I did this like bracketology style. Last 3 in, first 3 outside the roster, and then the next 3 outside the roster. I want to know what you think of this. So my last 3 on the team, last 3 earning roster spots, Zach Wilson, Traymon Smith, Quinn Bailey. Any initial reactions there?
I
know it's tough now that you're Coach Todd.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
No, I don't have like any crazy reactions. I think Zach makes the team. I think he's on a small deal as it goes for quarterbacks, and I think he could be a work in progress or a project for the team.
A fully guaranteed contract,
you know.
Small though, it's like $3-4 million, but it is fully guaranteed.
Yeah, I understand that.
And he's a tough one though because, again, having seen 6 or 7 practices so far, you've got Bo Nix and Jarrett Stidham playing pretty well. Zach Wilson struggled from what we've seen. Some interceptions, some throwing the ball in the wrong direction, some missed throws on swing passes that are pretty concerning. At the same time, though, you knew he was a project. Like, there's nothing there that we didn't see in the last 3 years he played with the Jets. And so I think that Sean Payton knew he was going to be a project. I don't think that what he saw this spring should be all that surprising. And I think that in a world in which, a dark world where Bo Nix doesn't look all that good, going into next offseason, you'd like to be able to give Zach Wilson a cheap contract, come back in, maybe even run it back with his quarterback room. Maybe you still draft somebody, whatever may happen. But you put a year of work into Zach, you see what happens. And the big thing is, will you be able to get him to the practice squad? Because I'm pretty confident he's going to be in the building in some form. And I kind of lean toward you could waive him on cutdown day, and I don't think that anybody else would claim him off of waivers and put him on their active roster. What do you think?
You never know.
I know.
First round draft picks, we talk about it. They get them chance after chance. And if somebody can take them and put them on his active roster and they be paying him almost nothing, I don't know if he'll actually be able to clear waivers. I think the biggest thing for him is like getting to the root of like why his play has diminished.
Yeah.
Because when he came in, he was a gunslinger, had a big arm, and now it feels like, he can't complete the passes that were once easy for him.
Yeah.
So in order for him to have a Baker Mayfield type bounce back year, they just got to figure out like why, how do we get this guy to produce the way that is it a mental thing? Is he not seeing what we want him to see? Is he a little bit more nervous than he was when he first got in the league? Like, what has changed over his first couple of years in the league that has put him in this space now? And I feel like it's not an easy task. I don't think there's not a lot of quarterbacks you can point to that really had bounce back years or have 3 bad years and then all of a sudden have a good one. It normally doesn't work like that. So they really got to, work with him for the long run if they want him to be this project that they ended up fixing up.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. And I think that there was a lot of bad coaching in there. I think that as a rookie going into New York, dealing with New York media and the way that people are kind of treated there, that's not an easy transition. And that's a lot of tabloid type stuff that you have to deal with on top of anything football related. Offensive line's bad, receivers are bad, but I think the bad coaching is probably the biggest thing. I think that when you look at what he did well at BYU, the reason he was the number 2 overall pick was the way he could hit deep balls. He could roll out of the pocket, make guys miss, and then hit somebody downfield. The reason that he was drafted so high is that he was drafted right after the Patrick Mahomes breakout. He was the first of those quarterbacks to be the mobile, somehow escape the pocket, somehow with some crazy arm angle, whip a ball into a window you didn't even see. And because of that, and because Mahomes was just kind of turning that into the new style in the NFL, he flew up draft boards. But then he got to New York, and they wanted him to work on the check down. So he was asked to throw slants and make these quick reads, and he really struggled. He spiked so many of those little balls to the flat that it was obvious that he was not going to be the answer there pretty quickly. And I don't know if you can get back to what made him good in college, but I know that Sean Payton loves that kind of challenge. In terms of Tremon Smith, he's a great special teams player, but you save $3.5 million if you move on from him. And going into next offseason, you would love to have that extra money. You're going to have a bunch, but you want to have another big spending year in 2024 like you did 2025 like you did in 2023. You brought Mike McGlinchey, Ben Powers, Zach Allen. Tremon Smith, a part of that as well. At the same time, though, I've got him as the 7th cornerback. And, what if Chris Abrams-Drain takes a step special teams-wise? And all of a sudden you say, like, Chris Abrams-Drain could be a really good gunner for us. I think Tremon Smith is on the roster, but there's some sketchy standing there. Same thing with Quinn Bailey, who made the 53-man roster for the first time last year and was like the 6th offensive lineman. But they spend to bring in some other guys. They've got Alex Palshevsky, former All-American, playing at Illinois, Big Ten, undrafted rookie last year, made the 53-man roster, immediately goes on injured reserve, though. So those are my last 3 in.
Yeah, I think Tremon has not an easy path to get on, but I think special teams players kind of take precedent over even the 5th. Because you say he's the 7th cornerback. Like, a good special teams player would take precedent over like the 5th or 6th best corner. Like, it's just how it works. And he's a proven commodity in the NFL. So I really see him not as a lock to make the team, but unless somebody comes out and just balls out on special teams, like, we can't have nobody out there. You know what I'm saying? We can't just save every dollar we have hoping for tomorrow. Like, we got to put together a good team still this year. So I see him making the team.
Yeah. So I was talking to Tremon in December, toward the end of last season. I was just talking about some special team stuff. And one of the things he said is that he thought he and Riley Moss were the best gunner duo in the NFL. And we talked a little bit about some of the others, but he said that Riley, by the end of last year, was one of the best in the NFL himself. And the two of them together, again, like, he's a little bit biased. He's a little bit biased for sure. Yeah. But, you look through the track record, like, he is very established as one of those guys. If Riley is your starting cornerback, and I think that odds are he will be, that's who they want to be the starting cornerback, you would think, he's not playing special teams anymore. And if that's the case, you really don't want to lose Tremon too. Because then you're replacing both of them.
No, you don't. And if he is playing special teams and trying to start, he's going to go down there on gunner. Mm-hmm. He's going to make the tackle. And the very next play, they're just going to run a go on him down the sideline. Like, let's see how tired you are. Like, that's exactly what they're going to do. So it wouldn't be a good idea to have him playing special teams and trying to be the starter. So if he is the starter, like you said, we do need to keep. That's just another reason why Tremon would make the team.
Yep, I think so. First 3 out, I've got Alex Palshevsky, the tackle, and I've got 2 receivers, Devon Vele and Lil Jordan Humphrey. I look at the 5 receivers who seem like locks, assuming health and all that sort of stuff: Courtland Sutton, Marvin Mims Jr., Tim Patrick, Josh Reynolds, Troy Franklin. And I think they only keep 5 because of the practice squad rules. We saw it with Lil Jordan last year, who became a pretty important piece of the offense. He started the year on the practice squad, He actually played in all 17 games last year because you get to play 4 games in the practice squad. But the Broncos basically made a bet and said, we don't think anybody's going to claim Lil Jordan off of waivers when we cut him, so we can just slip him down there. And in a month after he's out of eligibility from the practice squad, we can figure out, do we really need him on the roster, which they decided they did, and who could we kind of move around? Or is somebody hurt and need to go to IR? I don't think Lil Jordan's changed that in any way. I think that he still is somebody who you can get to the practice squad without worrying too much. And I think that Devon Vele is in that same boat as a rookie 7th round pick, 26-year-old surprise pick. And I put the rest of the receivers in that category as well, with Brandon Johnson and Jalen Virgil and the rest of those guys.
Yeah, I definitely feel like, so these 2 guys you're saying are going to make the practice squad, not just be sent home.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I can see that because we do have a lot of wide receivers on the team now. We can't keep everybody. But those 2 guys, I think Lil Jordan proved last year that he was a solid receiver once he got in the game.
Mhm.
Once he was in the game and got opportunities, I think he definitely showed that he's worthy to be on the NFL playing field. And you talk about Vele, that was kind of tough because in some ways I feel like they made like Vele a little bit more than Troy Franklin right now, but at the same time,
Yeah.
Troy Franklin's a bigger name and
Exactly.
a higher draft pick.
He would get claimed.
So he would get claimed. So you can't necessarily put him on a practice squad. But for Vele, it would be a good opportunity for him to like continue to grow and get better and like hone his skills and be at practice every day so that sometime throughout the year, he's up on the active roster because we know how it works.
Yep.
I think practice squad, maybe like at least 80% of the guys who get put on practice squad right after training camp get to play at some time throughout the year. It's not really the practice squad. You're just practicing for a little bit, then you're going to play.
Exactly.
So I think he'll definitely get an opportunity to play. And I think he should definitely be a part of the team. And that's what's tough. You talk about Jalen Virgil and some of those guys. Like, we have very good wide receivers and guys that, have had a little bit of injuries, but are good players. And when you go to pick and choose, I think if it is a practice squad spot, 90% of the time, I think that goes to a rookie who they maybe could develop, they haven't seen, all they have to offer yet.
Yeah. It is a pretty crazy list because that's the other piece that every team in the NFL really likes their receivers. Like even receiver 7 or 8 or 9. Like they're like, this guy's our 9th receiver. How lucky are we? Because every year there are just so many good receivers coming out. That's why I think you can give them to the practice squad. But when you look through this list of guys who I think get cut, there's going to be competition for practice squad spots. We talked about Vele, who's a draft pick this year. Lil Jordan, who played in every game for the Broncos last year. Brandon Johnson, who's played well when given opportunities. Jalen Virgil, who's in that kind of same class as Brandon Johnson, had the ACL last year. Remember, he tore that ACL on a 50-yard catch in a preseason game. One of the fastest players on the team, one of the best blockers among all their receivers. You want to keep him in the building. One of their best special teams players when he was healthy. You look at Michael Bandy, who he had, 22 catches for the Chargers a couple years ago, played in like 15 games for him, was one of the Broncos' 4 best receivers maybe this spring during practices. He's on the outside looking in. Philip Dorsett, he scored, I think, multiple touchdowns on one of the Tom Brady's Super Bowl runs with the Patriots. Older receiver now, good guy to have in the building. Again, guys like that, maybe on the outside looking in with all these young guys, but there's just this whole list of guys who I don't know what they're going to do. But so many teams feel that way that I have no doubt that they can get most of them, all of them, to the practice squad.
Yeah, we have a unique group of receivers because we have so many guys with talent, but also only like one guy that has kind of gone above and beyond, what we expect from them, in Courtland Sutton. And everyone else is very, very talented. And I think that a lot of them are neck and neck with each other all across the line. It kind of just depends on, who's having a better camp this year, who has the hotter hand this year. I think it could come down to, almost like the 3rd preseason game before we see where a lot of these guys end up.
Yep, definitely. All right, this little last group. These are mostly young guys who I think could make the team.
No, you have them on out.
Next 3 out. They could. They got to prove it. I've got Delarian Turner-Yell here.
Okay.
Another good special teams player, but again, competition at safety. He's my number 5 safety right now. They might keep 5, and that competition with J.L. Skinner gonna be interesting. Art Green, who I like as a cornerback, just crazy fast at Houston, undrafted rookie last year. Could be ready. Again, if Tremon Smith doesn't make the team, it might be because an Art Green looks like he can hold that special teams role and also is 6'1" with a 4.28 40-yard dash, like a potential boundary corner at some point in the future. And then finally, Blake Watson. And I think this is the tough one, the non-football injury list. I don't know what's going to happen at running back. You got Javonte Williams, Samaje Perine, Jaleel McLaughlin, Audric Estebe, and Blake Watson. It's tough to imagine them keeping 5. I don't know where they go from there, though. And so I'm starting by saying, undrafted rookie, you're on the outs right now, but in a couple weeks, who knows?
So he's not even on the practice squad for you?
I think he is. I think he is.
Okay.
Yep. If they can get him through, which I don't think is a guarantee. I mean, I think he was the 2nd or 3rd highest paid undrafted rookie this year. So you want to move on from him. Somebody might have really liked him.
That's always like a an interesting game to play because you don't know who all really wanted him and who all was scouting him hard enough and how the rest of those running backs have done throughout their training camp. So for me, I'm not putting anybody on practice squad that I have any thought that could be lost. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you wouldn't want it to happen, but Samaje Perine probably would have the best chance of making it through out of all those guys, even though because they are young. But at the same time, he is a well-known name.
Mm-hmm.
That's tough.
At the same time,
at
though,
that point.
if you want to get him through the practice squad, I think that you probably could get him through waivers. I don't think that he's getting claimed. If you're Samaje, though, the Broncos say, like, hey, come to our practice squad. I think there are other teams saying, like, we've got practice squad spots for you, too.
With less competition.
Maybe for a team with a little bit better outlook this year.
What's wrong with our outlook?
5.5.
Like our outlook?
I got the over on the 5.5 wins. I think that's going to do it for today. This is our last show, Todd. We'll see you. We'll see you in a month.
Oh man!
At that point, you'll. Wow.
I would say I'm going to miss you guys, but I'm going to see you every day.
Exactly.
So.
We're going to see you every day for 6 practices a week.
Yeah.
Zach is getting back from Portugal, I think tonight, something like that. So me and Zach will be back on Tuesday. I think the Broncos might have a little media thing going on then. Practices start shortly thereafter. And we're off and going for about the next 7 months, which is pretty crazy.
Good stuff.
Well, we'll see you guys on Tuesday.
Peace out, guys.
We all silly like the mayor.